So Play TCG just hosted a One Piece offline regional not too long ago over at Dallas Mesquite, which actually just so happened to be inside a Hamptons Inn hotel. And for this event, I decided to do the unthinkable and bring my very own handcrafted Kyros Black Yellow leader. Yep, you heard me, Black Yellow Kyros. And I'm here to show you just exactly how it all went down. So the journey begins with a simple 4-hour drive from my city, Houston, all the way up to Dallas. We got together at the Airbnb, most of the crew that we played with together at the same Houston locals, shout out Galaxy Gaming, and decided to play test for a couple of hours before the big day. Then early morning hit us pretty quick, considering we kind of stayed up a little too late. We went over to the hotel that it was hosted at, which wasn't too far luckily, and was just about like a 15-minute drive. Getting to the hotel venue wasn't too harsh or complicated. The place felt pretty clean and nice. I didn't have to wait in line or any inconveniences. I pretty much just got in for a quick little bag check, got my entry packs, and just like that, I was able to enter in the big ass venue that was hiding right beside the hotel. Now, of course, this venue wasn't anything crazy when it came to vendors or cool little shits to do or look at, like, you know, LA Nationals we had earlier this year. No shit. This is a regionals compared to nationals, but even so, the cap was supposed to be about 1,500 people, but the actual amount came out to be over 1,000, which was basically half of the nationals, or something close to 1,100. Funny enough, I knew someone who sadly had an error on his TCG Plus app that somehow didn't connect or register his deck list online, and had some officials basically tell him, yeah, nah, we're gonna have to give you a round 1 loss, nothing we can do about it, even though it's not your fault. Which I never got confirmation on how that went about, but yeah, I did hear some rumors of how many people got this unfortunate shit happen to them, and I heard some of those people just deadass left the tournament, like because of how tilting getting a round 1 loss because of that shit was. So I'm not sure if the number total of 1,100 was because of that, or what, you know, honestly, I don't know. We even had like a long wait list of people waiting outside to get in, and we somehow managed to get them all in. So yeah. Anyways, I went around the venue for a bit to scope out the scene, and I for sure can tell without a doubt that this banless EBO1 format pre-OPO7 was the most diverse meta I'd ever fucking seen. I just saw about 15 different decks. I saw Iceberg, RP Law, RP Luffy, Green Purple Doffy, Hannibal, man, fuck this dude. Purple Kaido, Blue Purple Kaido, Reiju, Purple Luffy, Purple Yellow Croc, Yamato, Bella Betty, Queen, Cat, Enel, Black Yellow Luffy, both Sabo and Ace, Gecko Moria, Rebecca, Perona, Garp, Vivi, Rosinante, Blue Doffy, Ivankov, Blue Croc, Nami, Zoro, Red Green Luffy, Odin, Whitebeard, Red Ace, Green Kid, Green Uta, and probably a few other decks I might not have seen, but I'm not even fucking your mouth on this one. There were this many different decks that I can 100% confirm were playing in this event. And for comparison's sake, although it's kind of unfair comparison since this is EBO1 format, which was unique in the fact that the banless format meets the small time frame right before OPO7, which I didn't even think Japan even had that. I don't think so. I could be wrong. Whereas LA Nationals, when I went there, and just about half the tournament was Sakazuki's and the other half was Yellow Enel or Katakuri, with the occasional Purple Luffy's. Now granted, more money's on the line for nationals, so it's only fair they'd play like the best decks to have a higher chance of getting tens of thousands of dollars, whereas regionals typically, you know, kind of pales in comparison to the potential card prizes that you can get. But I mean, nevertheless, like still thousands of dollars worth in card prizes, even for One Piece regionals. So it seems as though all these people just kind of treated this special unique format as like a throwaway or like a jungle fest format, running any of those decks that I had mentioned to just see what happens, which just so happened to have been the best time for my Kyros leader to shine. And oddly enough, I think I might have just been the only Kyros player in that entire regionals event. And if there was another one, somebody better fucking show yourself in the comments right now, motherfucker. This is my fucking Nah, I'll fuck with you. Honestly, I'd laugh if I found out another motherfucker was running in deep in the fucking trenches as Kyros in Dallas Mesquite. Like, man, that is honestly props to you for even giving that shit a shot, because most people are not crazy enough to do that shit. Well, I had to wait for the tournament to start. Let's just get into exactly what is going on with Kyros and the strategy at hand, since I already know a lot of you people motherfuckers like don't even know Kyros, never played it, don't know how to build it, like already Googling like, what the fuck is Kyros? What do you like? Yeah. Bring that ass here. Let me go ahead and explain to you all the stuff that you kind of need to know, just what the fuck Kyros is. So this is what Kyros does. Once per turn during my turn, I can KO a 0 cost character that my opponent controls by revealing my top life card face up, public knowledge, as cost. And that's it. So it's like a free KO, like of a 0 cost, unlike that piece of shit. And the fact that it gives my opponent free knowledge of my life doesn't really matter to me. It's kind of basically free. Although this is where the gimmick of the deck kind of comes in. So first step, we have the main MVP when it comes to the leader synergy usage being the 2-cost Viola. A card that is never used up by any other fucking deck that I can think of. I genuinely think this card might as well have only been used for Kyros and made for Kyros. I mean, even as Destrosa. But anyway, so that's what this card is for. It's for this deck because no other deck has a use for this realistically. So this card on summon has the option to either flip all of my face up life face down, or I get to check all my opponent's life and rearrange them in my order and put them back. So this motherfucker allows me to continue using my Kyros leader ability. You see, when I use the motherfucker's effect, I can't use it again if the life is face up, but using Viola to put it back down lets me use it again, right? I mean, in worst case, it's like a blocker that lets me manipulate their life in any way that I want, which actually is pretty gas against yellow decks. This not only fucks up yellow decks extremely hard, but other decks that might need certain cards from their life that I can just decide if it's the first or last, or really whatever the fuck I want, or the fact that I could literally know if you're gonna trigger or summon a body or whatever. Like, just having that knowledge is super fucking, it's crucial. It actually comes in clutch. So this card alone is like the main working cog that allows my leader to kind of exist. Other options come out in the form of 2-cost Sanji or 2-cost Hiyori, which all operate as like the same thing. So now you get it. These motherfuckers have to be present for me to continue using my leader ability without having to forcefully, take life, just have a face down card that way. But the main strategy of the deck is to reach 10 drop Kuzan for the double pop. Kuzan's KO at 5 costs, and leader Kyros reveals life and then KOs another 5 costs as well. Similarly to what set to Z's, kind of combination did with the 10 drop synergy, where you would drop 10 drop and then KO like whatever the fuck, and then Z would just -4 Dawn and then KO in 8 because it could KO at 3, so 5 and 3 8. So it's kind of similar to the double pop in one turn, except in this case you don't neg Dawn, but you just stick to KO 5, but you need like a face down life to use it. Yeah, so once this 10 drop sticks, I can then pivot into my next win condition, which is a 9 drop Yamato. Yamato, if summoned, gets you 1 extra life if you're at 1 or less life total, and you get to KO a character equal to both life combined. But wait! There's more. Kuzan on board already does -5, and most of the time there's like 4 to 6 life total, maybe like 3. Like 4, 3 to 6, like that's kind of like the range that you're at, or it could be a little bit more, but at least like 3 to 4 minimum to like 5, 6 max total. So when this happens, even if it's like, let's say 3 life minimum or less, that means Yamato gets to gain life, gain me life obviously, and I could KO anything from like a 7 cost all the way up to a 9, maybe a 10 cost. That alone catches a lot of people off guard. They forget that Kuzan helps to add the cost reduction. Usually Yamato's not killing anything huge at fucking all, unless it's like one of those NL cat situations and cat's got like, I don't know, 5, 6 fucking life and NL's got like 2. It's like, okay, you can reach up high. But if it's like, I don't know, 3, 4 life total, maybe 5 total, it's not killing anything huge. It's just a 5 drop at best. But with Kuzan -5, that makes that bitch 10 or worse 9 or 8, which is huge because that kills literally almost anything in the game. And being able to drop Yamato's back to back with the Kuzan on board almost always guarantees me the victory. Now you kind of see the win con the deck offers. I mean, it also offers the support from the 8-drop Gecko for board flooding, which is, I mean, Gecko's Gecko. You guys know how fucking strong that guy is. My deck also has the main turn 2 summons for 4 Dawn with Laboon and Kuzan. Kuzan having a great +1 and Laboon being an amazing -4 on demand. Call that bitch DirecTV. Hina also offers the same thing. However, Hina is on play, whereas Laboon is active main with a 1k counter. So if they fail to kill Laboon, that constant -4 to their 4 cost unit due to Kyros leader ability and then KOing 0 cost for free, it practically becomes unbearable for players to deal with, especially if I land my Sanji and Violas to reset my life just for Kyros. And finally, my 0 cost spell that will help, pitch out my brick hands to guard out like 7k swings. And or if I'm lucky, it can somehow get into my last life and give me another chance of surviving a turn. Oh, and one more important card, Buzzcut Mochi. Yeah, this card, I mean, I personally think it's a pretty good card, but it's really good for the deck. And when you're at less life than your opponent, you may KO with 4 costs or less for the price of 2 Dawn. This card kind of acts as like the pseudo essence of Sakazuki, using like a 2 cost spell to remove usually like a 4 cost or less. The strongest play for Kyros being the turn 3 6 Dawn play. Summon Laboon or even Rebecca Hina to reduce a unit by 4 costs. Use leader ability to KO a 4 cost, which was 4 but now it's a 0 cost. Then using the last 2 Dawn to activate Buzzcut Mochi and kill another 4 cost unit. So yeah, Kyros has some kind of heat up his sleeve. However, it can be also a dead card against certain matchups, but here's the thing. The main weakness and op I have to worry about is red purple law. if I don't see dice roll going second, or at least like high roll on a certain cards I need against RP Law, match is kind of extremely hard. And otherwise every other match is pretty easy if I see my pieces. Gecko's only tough depending on how many back-to-back Geckos they see realistically. And furthermore, if I don't see Yamato or 10 drop, my deck kind of just like falls behind one way or another. And if it doesn't scale into my big three, there's not too much I can do. Anyway, they finally announced that the tournament has commenced and the pairings were up on the TCG Plus app. So after making my way there, I got to the kind of upper top tables, it seems, to start things off. And I got all my cards and, you know, set up everything ready to start the recording, whatnot. And just before they let us start the game, this motherfucker flips up the hardest matchup to start this off. RP Law. Are you fucking shitting? And like, don't get me wrong, like I know a lot of people expect there's actually going to be a lot of RP Law representation, and funny enough, that actually wasn't the case. It turns out in that dumbass fucking regionals, there was far more Geckos than there were RP Laws, but RP Law for sure would be like second, so like you would still run into it like a decent healthy amount of times. But my strategy was just like, man, if I could at least avoid 3 total RP Laws, or at least not see too many, that was my strategy. I was like, fuck it, you got it, just went off of just good pairing, because I'm like, there's so many diverse matchups. Like at least first half is like a jungle fest, the rest is like, okay, it's a dice roll between what, but like first match, really? Fuck. So already the odds are pretty stacked against me considering this is how it all starts. But luckily I won the dice roll, which kind of allowed me to pick second. If anything, having the freedom to go second in this matchup helps extremely, to the point if I had to go first, I would have just fucking scooped, to be honest. So the round starts out pretty decent with the opening hand of 2 2K counters, 2 Brooks and an Ice Age and a Buzzcut Mochi. Now, in honesty, it is kind of lacking the 4-drop necessary to carry through, but this is my mulligan hand, so I didn't really have a choice to, you know, I kind of have to just play it out. My main offensive card being the Ice Age to take out the 5-drop and the Buzzcut Mochi to take care of the 4-drop for less, typically on 2 Dawn. I always pass unless I decide to play it, but 2 cost Sanji. But here's the thing, if I drop a 2 cost Sanji and he bottom decks it, I just lost a fucking 2k. So like I could just drop Sanji and say, fuck it, you got it, bottom deck it and summon a Sachi Penguin and gain 2 Dawn. That's the only out that he's got realistically. But obviously it's high risk, high reward, and it's like, I don't know, I wasn't feeling risky. I was like, I'm gonna just play it safe and just keep it 2k. He then decides to swing with 3 Dawn for a total of 8k. And yeah, since my Buzzcut Mochi only works if I have less life, this works out perfectly, so I can just take the life easily and just work my way up from there. And just from life, I actually drew the perfect card in this scenario. Since he swung with 3 Dawn, he doesn't have any board pressure, or essentially he doesn't have like a character slap down. This means there's no need for Laboon or Hina to be summoned, since there's nothing to be reduced in this first place. So that would mean the best value play here is Kuzan for the +1 draw effect, letting me get value out of this card before he decides to bottom deck it. Here I swing just so he takes it, or, you know, counters, which is completely fine, because as much as starving is a good strategy, RP Law typically doesn't have like the best defense or an insane amount of counters, and any blocker they summon I should be more than capable of killing. And since he would go down to 3 life, I know for a fact that he would still swing into me next turn, so I can take life again. So I'm always 1 less life than him. I personally like to butter up the RP Law to at least 3 or 2 life before I like kind of hard starve him. I mean, I've done strategies where I've like hard starved him and it felt kind of the wrong play too. Like I'm not able to like inch towards actually having like a, oh, like if you don't wall up I'm gonna kill you kind of win condition. Like it's weird. Like sometimes if you can get away with it, you can full starve. Sometimes you might just have to like half starve. Like you just bring him down to 3-2 life and then starve and then build up and then hard swing because they have 2 life and they have to really guard out. Like I don't know, it really depends on your deck and matchup and strategy, blah blah blah. But I decided, yeah, I'm gonna like slowly butter him up. Yeah, but right now my hand is looking okay. It is missing 1 ingredient, but I'm hoping that I do draw into the missing piece eventually. But besides that, my hand is not looking too terrible here. His next opening move ends up being a Bond Clay for the +1 Dawn. He swings for 6, so I take life regardless, but then he uses Osama to bring down my Kuzan's attack down just enough for RP Law's leader ability, and summons out a Sachi Penguin. Now I just need to draw 1 -4 cost, and that's the final missing piece, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. Out of all the cards I drew, I never got it. And this right here is actually a huge pivotal point in my play. That was not the most optimal and honestly lost me the game. So here, if I don't get rid of 2 of his bodies, I will fall behind significantly. And even if Bond Clay has no attack, if I don't summon a body, he still needs to be dealt with one way or another. So forcing me to do a really unoptimal play for Pop with this combo, I was able to get rid of both of his bodies, but that means I had to waste an Ice Age, which is the perfect card to use for the 5 drops, right, that he's going to summon. So that play right there could have actually been way better, but otherwise, I mean, I already knew this matchup was pretty tight. That if I don't see my perfect curve or pieces, it's kind of GG's. And as you can guess from here on out, he gained too much pressure and tempo for my deck to kind of keep up, and eventually I lost. After all, it is my deck's worst matchup at the time, but for me to face it head on round one, I mean, I already knew luck was probably not in my favor this tournament, but I decided to keep pushing forward for the content anyways. I was like, fuck it.
Alright, yeah, so I just got the first match done, and as you can saw, I just got my ass fucking clapped by Red Purple Law. As expected, actually, it's going to be one of the harder matchups that I have to go against, so there's nothing I can typically do about that. I won dice roll, and that's like kind of the highest chance that I had at beating Red Purple Law. If I go second, it's kind of like a 40-60%. I'm gonna agree with you. Now, the biggest thing and the crucial thing on actually like why I lost, opening hand was actually not too bad. Starting off with Kuzan is actually pretty value, especially when he decides to swing 8, so he doesn't have a body that's worried about removing. So it kind of just comes down to the fact that when it got to 6 Don, so turn 3 was huge. Obviously, 2 Don, you don't do anything, you pass. He swings 8, I take, cool, I'm at 3 life, he's at 4, perfect for buzz cut, because I have that and I need to make sure I got 1 less life. Drop the Kuzan, great, cool, I got the +1. Once I got to 6, Dawn for the 3 turn play. Problem with that is also missing a main ingredient. As you can see on my hand, I didn't have any Laboon, I didn't have any Hina. So you had the Buzz Kamochi, which is not bad. And that's actually kind of like what you would want on that turn 3 play. So what should have happened is if I had Laboon, if I had Hina, the play would have been Buzz Kamochi, remove, and then summon Hina or summon Laboon, cost reduce, and then lead ability KO. That's 2 KOs in 1 turn. That's probably the best way they can go second curve, pretty much into Red Purple Law. So having to forcefully make that judgment call, having to Ice Age Embrook, I had no choice. I had to find a way to remove 2 bodies, but it just didn't work out because that was the only Ice Age I saw, and so I didn't have that Ice Age getting rid of Kid. So Red Purple Law, if you let Kid live, you're not going to get that far. So it just came down to the fact that I didn't have that Laboon or Hina, sadly. I had to forcefully use my fucking Ice Age on a 4 cost just to remove, and then I had a little too much Brooks. I didn't really need Brooks in the matchup, just like 1. So yeah, that Brook definitely should have been a Laboon or Hina. And the game would have definitely been a lot healthier in my favor, hopefully-ish. I mean, I don't think I saw the Yamatos eventually. Sabo digged, and I don't think I saw it. So either way, there's a chance that I was probably still going to lose either way, but yeah, it was a tough matchup. But at least I don't know, it's Red Purple Law. I mean, it's a loss, it's still X1. To get into this event for top cut, you got to be X2, so that means I only have 1 more life left. After that, I cannot lose after that, that's it. So we're just going to see how far I can push this shit with Kyros.
Very unfortunate matchup to say the least, but it's just kind of how RNG rolls. Luckily, my next match would end up being one of the easiest matchups I could have ever asked, and that, ladies and gentlemen, was Birdcage Doffy. All you need to know about this matchup is if they don't see Birdcage, the deck's significantly weaker than yours, and that's it, right? Because their strategy is kind of somewhat revolved around it, and even if they do find it, you pretty much just stack your units and never swing, build up a huge wall that kind of forces an event to rest my characters, or use Sugar and Hody to just, you know, rest my shit. In worst cases, if they do see the puzzle, all I have to do is kind of like scale into Gecko, Yamato, and 10-drop Kuzan bosses where they genuinely don't care about Birdcage, since Birdcage only affects like the 5 cost and below. And not to mention, Birdcage KOs your unit at the end of their turn when they have like total 10 on, which will have no effect when running into Sabo, a card that protects my unit from being KO'd for a few turns. So timing your Sabos right before Birdcage explodes is pretty much just like another out as well. And it just so happened that the opponent that I was facing was not necessarily the most familiar with the rules or mechanics as sharply as others. And I mean, not gonna lie, I felt fucking bad. Like, there were several occasions I had to remind him to like rest something that he used for cost, or adding back a card he searched like literally into his hand. Like, he just kind of left it out, and I was like, oh, you might want to add that shit to your hand, bro. Like I was just, you know, yeah. Or just like things that normally is automatic for you in the sim, but not in IRL gameplay. No shit. But I didn't mind, and honestly, I couldn't care less to cheat or like let these things slide. Like, I'd rather like kind of help him with keeping the game state as fair and accurate as possible. Like, rather than to use this as an advantage against him. Like, I always just believe in like just winning off of just raw skill and like fair gameplay instead of just fucking cheating my way or buying my way into that like the fuck I look like. So nevertheless, the game kind of goes into a very interesting game state of me setting up this great wall of Kuzans. Yeah, gaining a significant hand size advantage and just pushing for game when the time was right. And I mean, just like that, the game was over and I had, you know, take my first victory. I mean, I don't know. I also pretty fucking salty about the RP Law matchup at that point, but I was also relieved that like, hey, I didn't go X2 first 2 rounds at least.
Yeah, so I went in and just got done with the second round, which was against Green Purple Doffy. I'm gonna be with you, I feel really fucking bad because that shit was a little bit one-sided. If you saw the Yeah, way too much Kuzan, way too much cards in hand. It just, I mean, it didn't matter. I mean, he did get Birdcage late, but even before that, anything he was summoning, I mean, I don't know, like, he kind of searched the card, forgot to add it to hand. He activated Baby, didn't even rest it. I had to help him out, not a big deal. I mean, you can kind of forget these things, it's cool, it's not that fucking deep, it's just fucking card game. Yes, it's our regionals, but I'm not gonna call fucking judge and get mad. But anyway, I could tell he was a little bit nervous, probably not more on the competitive side, more casual. But even then, I don't know what his deck list was like in terms of a green purple Doffy, so I couldn't even tell you if that was like a legitimate match against, like, I don't want to say real green purple and, you know, shit on him, but it's like, I'm sure there were other lists that might have been a bit more tight and consistent, but at the same time, green purple Doffy does kind of live and die by seeing Birdcage. Definitely would have helped a lot in that matchup, but I mean, I also just kind of, I was just filling out the waters, testing it out if he had cage or not. But most of the time I would just keep it active and not swing so he doesn't get value off of it. But it didn't even matter because I had the high drops. I got, you know, the Gecko, the 9 drop to kind of scale into. That doesn't really matter. I think he needed a bit more rush. I mean, Hody would have helped as well, but also had like a decent amount of counter and 0 cost spells. It just, I don't know, it was a little one-sided, just a little too much. But anyway, that was it. I mean, that's round 2, so I'm looking pretty good. Mentally, I'm great. I'm refreshed-ish. Every time I win, I feel a bit more awake. I feel a bit more adrenaline. Like it actually helps me. Like not just like a placebo effect, but I feel rejuvenated. Like I'm a fucking vampire. Just take a fucking W, and I just like I gained a bit of HP, you know. But anyway, still X1, 2 rounds. Got a shit ton more. So hopefully with this X1 kind of bracket, I'm going against a lot of the random decks, lower tier decks, random decks. And once it gets to the later rounds, I'll definitely have to swing back into the meta and see if I can hopefully beat a red purple law or dodge him. But fuck it, let's see what happens.
X1's still pretty fucking hard to start off with, but it is what it is. I mean, to be honest, this person didn't really see any of their bird cages until it was like pretty much just too late, but it is what it is. I mean, I'm just gonna take my win and just say fuck it. Then the stakes were still high since I was currently 1-1. I mean, it's pretty early on for me to already be X1, but there could be a chance I could hang on for the rest of these rounds depending on my matches, but you will see. But next match I was facing was the Gecko Moria leader. Now this matchup is the typical black versus black resource and removal war. That's pretty typical. But yeah, my win con here is being able to gain somewhat tempo towards the middle of the game with things such as like Laboon, Kuzan, or Rebecca Hina combo, not including a Sabo for a defensive, you know, switch up and KO immunity. But if I can summon at least one Gecko and hopefully like kind of scale into like a 10 drop and Yamato combo, the match should definitely be in my favor. But unluckily for me, apparently this guy has faced the Kyros online before, at least like once. So I think he had some sense of idea maybe how, like, I don't know how to approach this deck. And to be honest, I wouldn't be fucking surprised if it was me online. But he decided to make me go first, which was the smart choice for him, since this is a going second deck. Making me go first is a powerful start and enables him to go into his 8-drop Gecko on curve and kind of just go from there. But all I got to do is slowly set up and establish my board, as long as this guy doesn't see, you know, the tits and summons Geckos back to back. You gotta be fucking shitting me. So yeah, first it was the RP Law matchup, and then it's the Gecko that stacks 3 of them bitches back to back to back to back-to-back Tetris. Damn. Yeah, and at this point, luck was definitely not on my side that day. But I said, fuck it. Let's see how long it takes to go X3, and I'm completely out this tournament.
Alright, yeah, so pretty much just got done with like the round 3 against the Gecko. I mean, that matchup's just summed up in Gecko 1, Gecko 2, Gecko 3. That's it. So it definitely felt like him saying 3 8-drops didn't necessarily matter, just based on like how I played. So yeah, outside of that, which was like a questionable play, the fact that I was off curve going first hurt. I didn't get to see my 9-drop or 10-drop, so seeing those back-to-back Geckos, I can only deal with that if I got a 10-drop on board or hopefully like a 9-drop to gain live KO. Yeah, it was definitely tricky going off curve against 3 back-to-back 8-drops. So this was just a battle of like who can high roll better. So my hand was okay scaling into the late game, but not with against 3 8-drops. But anyway, mentally I'm fine, bro. We chilling, bro. We about to do X2 and just see what happens. It's gamble, bro. I mean, you get to play like a high roll fucking, like, it's a meta deck. So it has a chance to do well, has a chance to not do well. But anyway, so, but yeah, we're gonna go ahead and see how far we can last with this Kyros shit. Just see what the fuck we're gonna go against at this point. But yeah.
Then that brings me to my next match, Purple Luffy. The match that would ultimately decide if I still have a chance on the X2 dream or if this is all just a fucking shit show. Going into this matchup, definitely going first is a solid choice to put hella pressure into Luffy. But if I go second, I still have my second curve at the very least. Either way, it's not too bad, but it kind of just depends on like what the fuck I see in my hands. So he wins the dice roll and makes me go second. So I start off with going second with the 2-cost Sanji then. He then does a leader tap to ramp, 1 Dawn and, you know, 1 from life. You know, typical purple Luffy shit. And summons out Bond Clay. Then I respond with the good old Laboon and reduce this bitch ass to -4. So it's a 0 cost, and then kill his character with the Kyros leader ability. Then he responds with a perfect Poli to KO my Sanji instead of my Laboon. He then swings 6 into Laboon. Sadly, I had no 2k counter in my hand to guard it out the 6k swing, which kind of forced me to use the 0 cost spell to defend, and it really came down to like a judgment call of keeping another card of counter value instead. Man, I just really needed a 2k. What the fuck, yo? And just when I drew Buzzcut Mochi, I had realized that this is the worst matchup for Buzzcut Mochi since I can't stop him from taking life. Furthermore, making this card completely fucking useless. But sadly, his 5-drop character gave me no choice but to drop out of Viola to reset my life and Laboon into Brook for a total of -5 cost to kill this motherfucker. Which honestly wasn't a terrible play, but it felt like if he kept dropping high drops like that and I wasn't able to respond with my own high drops eventually, yeah, this game would eventually go into his favor at this rate. And sure enough, he did. He summoned his 9-drop Kaido on curve to KO and completely wiped my fucking board. Purple Luffy essentially lives and dies kind of by the 9-drop. So much so that if it doesn't see it, the deck is significantly weaker. So him seeing the poly into 9-drop Kaido is actually one of the best sequences Purple Luffy can kind of hope for, and he got it. And once I saw my hand and the only play I can make is like Kuzan Viola, that's when I knew I lost. Unless I can somehow access my Yamato, which I never really saw this entire fucking tournament. There wasn't really a light at the end of the tunnel, and I could feel my end was drawing near. Then he summoned out his 6-drop King to get rid of my Kuza. Motherfucker. At this point, like that it's a wrap. I'm gone. I'm dead. But as you can imagine, yeah, as the game went on, I eventually kind of just lost, and you know, yeah, so I didn't really expect much the moment he went Bon Clay, Pauly, Kaido, and a 6-drop King. That sequence alone was enough to beat whatever the fuck bullshit I had drawn into. Like, some would say it's the perfect curve for Purple Luffy, but for me, I don't know. I feel like if I saw my sequence, like saw my pieces, like I should be able to beat him. I don't know, my draws, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, it's hard to tell. So yeah, in the end, I didn't get lucky with my draws for that day. My matchups were, they were not in my favor, but at the same time, like 2 of them felt winnable. The Gecko was definitely winnable. I obviously beat the Doffy. Purple Luffy felt winnable, but yeah, damn, like I just got fucking swagged on by, yeah.
Alrighty, so pretty much just got done with the last match against Purple Luffy. Honestly, I've noticed this, and it just kind of hit me too late, and I looked and I was like, where the fuck are my Yamatos? Okay, so let's get to the match. So the match was pretty interesting. He won the dice roll, sadly. If I won dice roll in this matchup, he definitely go first. He just go aggro, even though I want to go second. So even though he gets first, at least I still get like going second curve. You know, I could do my usual shit, but it's not as aggro as I'd like it to be. If I was going first, definitely would have been better. But anyway, so the main point is that, yeah, I just didn't really get to see my pieces. It just, like, I think the only saving grace definitely would have at least been able to see a Yamato. That actually would have helped. The fact that I run 4 Yamatos and I never got to see this entire regionals kind of hurts. Kyros is a deck where, honestly, it has like a really weak defensive line. It's only got like 4 life. And so the saving grace is you remove and you also gain life. I never really got that off. So it is what it is. I would just say, honestly, it just came down to really just high rolling and just seeing your pieces. I mean, yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much what happened though. I mean, it is what it is.
RP Law missed a piece. Gecko saw 3 8-drops. And Purple Luffy, curve. Fuck. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not even gonna sit here and bitch me like, it's like a, we know when we sign up and play card games, it's no different than poker. Just more options of manipulative RNG odds of like playing and, you know, strands and lines of play. But it is still RNG at the end of the day. Either matchups or just like drawing good. Like some decks get far because they didn't see their worst matchup. Some decks get far just because they kept drawing the tits and seeing the curve or just seeing a certain piece non-stop. It could happen to me or it could happen to somebody else. But anyway, that's just, I mean, yeah. But oddly enough, by the end of the 10 rounds, I actually ended up going 6-4. Like as my final record, like not too bad for Kyros, given that my matchups were not diverse as other people. I mean, like, what was it? Like 2 Geckos, 4 RP Law, green purple Doffy, purple Luffy, 2 green Utas, blue Doffy? I can't remember. Like, I know at a certain point there was like a no-show because like I think people just drop at that point, right? But then like after that, people kept showing up. But yeah, I can't remember exactly all the fucking different types. That was like 99-95% of the decks that I played. But yeah, 6-4, what the fuck? And I can't believe I faced 4 fucking RP Laws. What the fuck? But yeah, I added 6-4 Kyros going against So many fucking RP laws, and I beat 2 of them too. What the fuck? If only there was I wish those RP laws that I beat were the ones that I faced early on. Motherfucker. And I beat a Gecko too, but that's whatever. Yeah, so I mainly got thrown into the RP law and Gecko immediately, then like perfect curve Luffy to finally put me to rest. That's basically what happened. Yeah, so at the end of the day, it was just kind of like the beginning for Kyros since he gets a lot stronger and more viable in the OPO7 environment. This was really just like a warm-up for me. Like, I wasn't really planning to give up on Kyros at all, but that just about wraps up the video. Hope you guys enjoyed this journey and the new regionals vlog style that I kind of crafted up. Each time I do a regionals and I actually like pull up, I'll probably end up doing like one of these little like vlog shits like from time to time. We'll see. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. Let me know what you guys think of this hoe. Share this around if you want for the memes and the trolls of Kyros. Yes, Kyros being played in fucking regional. I know. But anyway, hope you guys like the video. Let me catch you guys in the next one. Y'all take it easy. Peace.